I don't think we'll ever be the same as a nation from what we've learned from Alabama and Florida being squished together by Barack Obama to create Floribama.
The cultural gale force winds of Hurricane Katrina, complete with Astrodome-like debauchery.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Zora Alam and welcome to American Legacy, the most important documentary series in the world. In our 175th year, we examine the films and TV shows that defined American culture, and we ask hard-hitting questions like why? And was that really necessary? And you really said that? And so on. Our next documentary takes us to a house on the Gulf Coast where 6 strangers move in together. What could possibly go wrong, you might ask? Well, director Shirley Knott, former reality TV producer, has some surprises in store for you. Come, find out what lies behind the reality curtain.
It was a wave of destruction of biblical proportions that lasted over half a decade, when bewildered families huddled in darkened rooms while angry winds shook their homes, when the forms of entertainment they had relied upon were turned against them with a lethal vengeance, when the greed of a few nearly swept away the pillars of everything south of the Mason-Dixon line. The year was 2017, and the place was Panama City, a modest town on Florida's Gulf Coast. But this quiet city faced more havoc than hurricanes, alligators, and Mickey Mouse combined as they collided with the reality show Floribama Shore.
The wake of destruction that happens when they collide, it's like a tectonic plate just rubbing against each other, and then all of a sudden the pressure just cracks. And that's what happens with Floribama. You have men and women rubbing against each other and until they just break. And it would be the worst destruction in the world if they ever got loose. That's why this show is containing them into one solid location where they can be neutralized.
Audiences tuned in to a diverse cast of strangers. Courtney, a local to Floribama Shore, stretching out her life for dignity and independence for the first time. Nilsa, a recently divorced 22-year-old with extensive plastic surgery. Cody, a confidant and provocateur to many in the house, and some other people we didn't have time to fit into these producer-manufactured storylines. Many of the cast gravitated around Jeremiah, a muscular 22-year-old who gained his education from being homeschooled.
Jeremiah being homeschooled was so awesome.
Would anyone ever sleep with Jeremiah, even though he's beautiful? He is deeply, deeply weird and controlling and unpleasant. Also not very bright. But they have gone so far in human existence is to spell every name they can with an I at the end, even if it phonetically makes no sense. It is the height of sophistication.
When Courtney got blackout drunk and peed in somebody else's bed, she says it was an accident, but we all know it was a declaration of war.
You know, and I think at the end of the day, reality TV is about helping people to feel better about themselves by looking down on someone else. You know, you might think, well, I'm stuck at home during the pandemic, and you know, my kids are not talking to me, and my ex-wife is asking for more money to fix the roof, but at least I'm not peeing on someone else's bed, you know?
I wouldn't call it humiliation. I would call it performance art. I believe that she was urinating on the concept of the patriarchy, to go beyond Maslow's hierarchy of needs into just chaotic fluid dispersal.
As the Floribama Shore subjects ventured out into the wild, they quickly found conflict as Nilsa began an argument with a romantic interest of Jeremiah's.
12% more of reality TV viewers believe that being mean gets you more than being nice. There is no truer example of this than Nilsa. First off, she was gifted with the name of a Disney villain. Nelsa, not Elsa, Nelsa, like an evil version of Frozen. She comes in swinging. She doesn't have to pee to establish her territory. She does it with her attitude.
And so everybody's freaking out about Kayla Joe. Everyone freaks out about the fact that she's a witch, she's a Wiccan.
Wicca is a person that practices Wicca chair magic.
Here you get to see these women empowering themselves by beating up other women who perhaps think this is a compliment. Maybe she's never seen The Sopranos. Maybe she just doesn't understand what her hands are doing.
I still don't understand why everybody was hating on Kayla Joe. There was no reason to hate on Kayla Joe. She's nice, she's pretty, she's blonde, both kidneys.
Talking about community, and specifically family in this show, is very important. You know, they've developed what one could call a kin group, which throughout history, throughout cultures, has been extremely important for a sense of identity, especially if you have been estranged from your family yourself. So I believe what they demonstrate as they are accosting people as a group is that this isn't just a mob going after an actual witch to burn, but it is people coming together. It is their trust fall into each other's arms and onto the ground where they could punch strangers.
However, when the Floribama Shore kin group returned to the house, they quickly devolved into heated battles, pitting the men against the women.
Reality TV shows have always relied on the staple of men versus women, the battle of the sexes, if you will. Reality TV combines the two greatest things of entertainment, battles and sexes. Drama.
I think that art imitates life, imitates art, imitates reality television. What is fascinating is you have Kodai.
And reality TV is founded on the bodies of dead people who have tried to have sex.
Okay, so 68% of people who watch reality TV think that women are supposed to be catty and competitive. And 100% of me agrees with that statistic. I think it's a smart statistic. It makes sense. And you know, you see on all these shows, all the women are catty. It's built into it. So if your perception of TV and the world is coming from reality TV, then you're right. Women are catty, and none of them seem to work. I don't understand this. No one in reality TV shows works.
I think that they are assigning a gender to gossip, mostly because, I mean, a knitting circle, hen pecking. We love to assign gender to gossip, but what we understand through the dynamics of Jeremiah, Gus, Kodai, is that they are able to gossip and stir up trouble.
When they went out for Dollar Draft Beer Night, they got to interact with the locals of the Floribamas. You know, when a community is down on its luck and, you know, having hard times, nothing makes them feel better than picking on another community, a smaller community. Well, you know, and then it just trickles down, you know, this community picks on this community, and then this community gets burned down and burns down this community, and so forth, until it just winds up in the Middle East.
And before they were fighting, but now they are united. Their hands are held together. They are a unit. They have their own Maginot line of protection against this entire family.
They also got a clean getaway. Now that is teamwork. That is girl boss energy. That is female empowerment. Those are women who not just run with the wolves, they eat the wolves.
Oh, and sometimes you look through the keyhole and it can feel a little bit prurient. You know, I'm watching some 18-year-old who's the same age as my daughter peeing on a bed, or some kind of awkward sexual fumbling going on with a bunch of people within earshot, and maybe I'm there with my kids and they're saying, Dad, why do we have to watch this? And I say, well, I've got to do an interview about this tomorrow, so You know, you can always go up to your room and play Fortnite if you don't want to watch it, you know?
You know, there was this charming moment between Nilsa and Candace when they were having dinner, and they were musing about how they went 24 hours without having a fight. That makes for boring television. You should just, lock the doors and keep them trapped inside a small room and drop a couple of scorpions in there and take away their sandals, like the boo box in Hook.
However, the cooperative tranquility was short-lived when another fight broke out over Nilsa discovering Jeremiah had made a DiGiorno pizza without her. Wait, seriously?
The second she sees the pizza, she's like, "What? There's pizza in here? It was my pizza. I made it fresh from the DiGiorno box." And she's so offended because she makes the best DiGiorno pizza box food.
Great examples of Gestalt in Floribama Shore is every time Nilsa screams at Jeremiah. Is she screaming at Jeremiah, or is she screaming at the father that maybe didn't give her enough attention? Is she screaming at the ex-husband whom she misses, but not when other men are around? Who is she screaming at? Is she screaming at the other women in the house for living their authentic truths without a fake posterior? Who is she screaming at? That is a perfect expression of a Gestalt. I believe psychology professors should make their students watch this by force if necessary to understand how to execute the technique properly.
I've been told that in a lot of these reality shows, the participants are told you cannot talk about anything outside of the house. You can't talk about a movie you've seen. You can't talk about a book you've read. It forces the drama to sort of feed on itself, you know. It becomes almost cult-like, you know, in that environment where you can't get away. It's a little bit like being at home in Scotland as a child, and, you know, it's Easter and you've just been to Mass, and then you've got to go back to Mass again in the evening, and you're not allowed to turn the TV on because the priest is coming to visit, you know. It just gets a little too much, you know.
Our group of intoxicated 22-year-olds raged in the streets, fighting night after night, until they were finally united again upon learning of the news that Cody's grandparent had passed away. While he had to grieve with his family, his kin group welcomed him back with an unexpected surprise.
So Cody comes back at the end of the episode, and to cheer him up, Nilsa and Amy flash their,
And I am thrilled. I'm thrilled we get to all emulate this in our lives. Who amongst us has thought, I don't need this casserole, I'd rather see a rack. Not a rack of lamb, a rack of woman and love. And Kodai got that. Kodai, while being a deeply asexual person, still understands the feminine aesthetic and its beauty. While I don't think he would know if he should water a plant or put flowers in a vase after his nana died, he might know that while these breasts may sag like the flower, they may wilt, however, they are forever. He gets to keep it in his mind. It might not have moved his member, but it definitely moved his heart.
These reality shows are time capsules, a window into the past, about who we are as a country. So when you see a bar fight, or an exposed breast, or someone peeing in the bed, this is America. And we want our children and our children's children to be able to see these shows and learn about who they are and where they came from as a nation. Because we're making these shows not just for entertainment, but for education. And it makes my job as a professor a lot easier when I'm hungover in the morning and I just want to put on a video so I could curl up underneath my desk and take a nap. I've gotta be mean. I've gotta be mean. When you kick me down, I don't frown, I just burn your house down. I do karaoke sometimes.